tuning in. It's the one and only Optibonomus coming with another video review. And on today's episode, thanks to the incredible support of my patrons and YouTube members, we're going to be taking a look at the new NECA Toys Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TRAAG and GRANITOR. For the package, absolutely gorgeous, much like all of the Toon Turtle figure sets are. You got gorgeous images of TRAAG as well as GRANITOR right there. Got the Ninja Turtle logo. Top section right here has that Ninja Turtle logo as well. Of course, you got that open window that fully showcases both of the figures. You got TRAAG on this side. Come around to the opposite side, and there's GRANITOR. When you come around to the back of the package, you can see a more up-close image of them. You also have down here... Now, this has always been confusing for me, because the Triceratons were a race of creatures in the original comics, and I forgot how they actually incorporated them with the cartoon, but you got different ones here. So you got just like a generic Triceraton, and then the Roadkill Rodneys, which were little droids that you would fight in the Turtles in Time video game, if I'm not mistaken. And then you have Zarax and Zork, which are new Triceratons. So I'm going to have to read up on those guys. But of course, then you also have Metalhead. Right here, you have a generic bio, which just talks about the Turtles in general. So if you want to read it, go ahead and pause it right now. But for the packaging on these guys, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get them out here and see how cool they actually are. And here we have TRAAG and GRANITOR opened up and out of their packaging. And first, one thing that I wanted to touch on is the little insert here, which is really cool. You can see it's Dimension X with the Technodrome right there. I think that's the first time that we've seen this particular background. And honestly, I wish that they would print this on a little bit thicker of a card. That way you could use this as a background display. But starting off first with their accessories, we do have a reused one, which is the little communicator. You can see that you have Krang on this one, though. But still great detail with the little purple paint. You got some nice yellow-red accents there. The back section has some nice sculpted in detail with some extra paint on there. We've gotten several of these so far, so nothing really new. And then we do get this container of ooze. The previous one that we got was done up in this color. This came with Shredder and Krang. This one is done in a gray plastic. The story about how Krang got these rock soldiers was that he mutated the rocks on Dimension X, in Dimension X, which is why they have such a fierce loyalty to him, because he gave them life. So I'm wondering if that's what this container is meant to replicate. It's the exact same thing, it's just painted differently. You can see you got different shades of blue with the regular ooze container, and then this one is gray, so maybe that's what they mean by it. I'll go with that. It's a good story. You also do get a pair of laser pistols. They're identical. Great sculpt, great paint. You got the different shades kind of going on with the darker and lighter elements. They do have a little bit harder of a time holding them because the hands are fairly rigid, so that's one part that worries me. You kind of have to wedge them in there to get them to hold them, and I would be worried about potentially scraping plastic or anything. But if you didn't really want to have them hold them, they do have holsters that you can put the guns right there along the side quite nicely, and then you can just have them displayed just like that. And then this is a nice little extra accessory. I didn't know that these were actually going to be included, but they're semi-translucent wanted posters of the neutrinos. We have Zack, we have Dask, and then we have Kala. And then you got cool images of them. Let me see if I can come in. I'll keep that in the background there, because when you go like that, you kind of lose it. But that's really cool. I like that, like I said, translucent nature of it. Very futuristic. So there's Zack. Here we have Kala, who, keep that right there so you can see wanted, the name, you got the image of them. NECA, you need to be doing the neutrinos. You absolutely need to do that. If you're going to give us rock soldiers, you got to give us the neutrinos. But I love that. I didn't know that that was actually a part of this set. I don't know if they've shown that or anything, but I think that those are great little accessories. When you kind of overlap them, you see, can't really see anything very well, but really cool. Now, for the figures themselves, again, outstanding job by NECA on these. Initially, when we saw them at San Diego Comic-Con or something of that nature, they were done in that Turtles in Time color. And I was like, oh, you know what? I really want those, but I don't want them in that color. So it was going to be like a Slash situation where I like that Slash one, but I didn't really want it because it looked like that video game. So I figured that they would release these in the video game color first, just to kind of wet our whistle a little bit, and then maybe a few months later they would release these. But I'm glad that they did these ones first. These are absolutely terrific. They do share some parts between the two, like the legs are, and I think the hands are, and that maybe the forearms, but that's about it. Really quite nice. Great color shading on here. I like the very matted sort of look. Gives it a very rock look to it. Very cool. Not glossy or anything of that nature at all. I like that they got the helmets. Those are permanently attached. In the original cartoon, and I'm trying to remember, I know he was TRAAG. I think it came out that he was the general. And you can see you got that little logo right there. Granitor, I don't remember him being named in the first episode. I think that all came out later on, but you can see the arms are really long on them. And I also really like how they did the joints. You can kind of see that these joints also are nicely sculpted to kind of look like rocks in general. That's really cool. The only one that really doesn't have that would be this upper section. I don't know how they really could have done that, but it doesn't bother me that much. Love that expression on his face. Doesn't open or anything, which is a little unfortunate, but that's all right. But all the way around, absolutely terrific detail. The shading looks really good. The different sort of tan colors, all absolutely wonderful. And then taking a look at Granitor again, yeah, let me see. I think that the forearms are the same. I think the hands are the same. Taking a look at the legs, looks like the legs are the same, but obviously because they're painted differently, they don't really look all that similar. This cod piece might be the same. Yeah, but you can see that you got some extra paint detail. Like he's got definition in his buttocks, whereas TRAAG doesn't. But they are the same, but that paint difference does give a unique look. The abdomen area, or the lower abdomen, looks also the same. Let me kind of get that. He kind of hunches over a little bit more. This lower section is the same, and I want to say is his upper body the same? No, I mean, because he's got this little collar piece right here. That just might be an extra glued in portion, though, honestly, because looking at how the torso is, like around the arm area, like around the pecs, that almost looks the same. So that might be this section here might be the same as well, but you have some extra details. Like you can kind of see like these pieces look like they're separate pieces that are glued on here. That I'm really trying to see here. It's kind of hard to tell, honestly, but this looks like it's kind of the same as well. You got different colors. I mean, just look how drastically different the two figures look, even though there's a lot of parts that are kind of the same. Obviously, the upper parts of the arms are different. The heads are different, everything. The necks are different. I mean, that is really quite impressive. Setting TRAAG there in the back and focusing here on Granitor. I love the way that he looks. He's got a very thin neck, though, which, again, is accurate to how he looked in the cartoon. And I like how it even has a very rock sort of shape to it as well. Like this big pointy nose. I mean, everything on here is so incredibly well done all the way around. Just blown away. You got great detail on the bottom of the feet as well. Super awesome. Now, let's do some comparisons here. So I'm going to set him there. Let's get these guys kind of standing together. They are a little bit top heavy, I've noticed, so you kind of have to angle them a little bit where the feet are helping to kind of spread out the kind of weight of the guys. Let me come back here. Let's bring in some other big guys. Here we have Bebop and Rocksteady. These are really big dudes too. You can see just how large they are in comparison to Bebop and Rocksteady. That's a good size, I think. Bringing in another, let's take a look at a more normal size figure. Here we have Shredhead. And of course, it wouldn't be appropriate if I didn't bring in Lord Krang to show these guys. So yeah, I mean, size-wise, really quite nice. I think they scale very well. Getting out Lord Krang. Now, taking a look at the articulation on the guys. You do have two separate ball joints. You got one here at the upper neck and then another lower one that kind of gets you a good range of motion going left, right, up, down, side to side, all that stuff. You do have a swivel and a hinge at the shoulders themselves. One thing that I would say is, with all NECA figures, make sure you go through and check the stiffness and lock status of some of the joints. Luckily, none of them were locked on mine, which is really very nice. You do have 2 joints here at the elbow. It also rotates right there at the upper part of the elbow, and then also rotates at the lower one. The hands do move forward and back. Because of the way that it's sculpted, though, it is a little bit tricky to get a real good range of motion with the shoulders, but it's not terrible. You do have this ab or diaphragm joint. You also have a rotation at the waist. Hips do move forward and back, in and out. They rotate at the thigh. They have one single joint here at the knee, and then you also have that rotation there. You don't have a boot cut, which makes sense because it's on an angle, and then you do have the hacky sack ankles. So it moves forward and back, and then they rotate just like that. Same thing here with Granitor. Articulation is pretty much the same. Again, you gotta balance these guys to make sure that they don't topple over. So stay right there. Now, his articulation, I would say be a little bit more careful with this neck because it does feel a little bit flimsy. Staying here with the rest of them, all that same articulation is built into the both bodies. So because they share the same body for the most part, obviously, not a lot in terms of that articulation is really going to be different between the two. Overall, though, again, an absolute wonderful set by NECA. I know I say it in almost every review that I do of their Ninja Turtle stuff, but they are without a shadow of a doubt the best Ninja Turtle figures that we have ever gotten. One of the most impressive aspects about it is, as you can see, there is a fair amount of reused parts with these guys, but they look vastly different. NECA seems to be really good at doing that. And while I don't have it, in the original vintage line, General TRAAG did get a figure release. It didn't really look much like that, but we did get them. So obviously it's nice to finally get an updated look, which does match with how he appeared in the cartoon. As for Granitor, though, I don't believe we ever got an official figure for it. If we did, it was way off of my radar. But if you're a Turtle fan, you absolutely have to get these guys. They are without a doubt well worth having in a Turtles collection. Now, the only thing that they need to do, if they're giving us these, would be to give us these guys. That's a must-have at this point in time right now. And while they've mentioned that if their pre-order system is successful, which we know for the most part it has been, then it can be used to maybe give us other things other than figures. So maybe their flying car? Maybe. That would be awesome. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. As with all of the Toon TMNT figures by NECA, TRAAG and GRANITOR are Target exclusives. They did not do a pre-order set with this, and I'm not entirely sure if they're going to be launching it on the website. I don't know any of those. These were actually found in a Target store, and I was able to get them. And I think that NECA has said that the official release date is in October, so that's coming pretty soon. But as with all of the NECA stuff, keep your eyes open, and good luck, as well as happy hunting. If you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would do one very small thing for me, and that's simply just to hit that thumbs up button. That one small gesture really does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really very much appreciate it. Also, gotta send a huge shout out to all of my patrons and new channel members. To join Patreon, check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/optibotimus. Or if you want to join my channel memberships, you can do so by clicking on that little join button right down there. And finally, remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.